Hey folks, this is Samuel Heber here from Sammy Heber on YouTube, Heber Family Adventures on Instagram, SammyHeber.net, Sammy Heber on Facebook. I'm here today with my Inclusion Festival workshop, Autism is Love. What am I talking about? Before I go into that, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself. At age 14, I was diagnosed with Aspergers, now we consider high-functioning autism. And since then, I've been on a journey to find myself and understand how my autism affects me and understand it, and then help others like me understand it. And I came across a passage in Neil Donawash's book, When Everything Changes, Change Everything, that really moved me, and I'm going to go into that, and that inspired this whole workshop. And my overall mission is to prove that autism is not a disability, it's a community, that we can connect with anyone we want to. So let's dive in here. Autism is love. The big thing in autism is we all talk about our struggle with it, our sensory overloads, our meltdowns, our self-injury, especially our ability to miss social cues. It just seems like we never got the memo, and it happens daily, and we have social anxiety. I'm here to flip that today and talk about the autism experience in a positive way. That every symptom of autism, every part of being autistic is an act of love. That it actually makes you notice the world more. It makes you notice that the grass is, green. It makes you smell the roses because you have some smell sensitivity. For me, I usually wear sunglasses because I have light sensitivity and I look cool in sunglasses. I also have smell sensitivity, so I use many things that help me trust the environment in, like essential oils, flowers, anything, or just some little stim toys I have. It really allows me to pay attention and experience going to the market, with my wife, experience going camping with my family. If I treat my autism, my perspective, as love, I start to enjoy it rather than fearing, oh, am I going to have a sensory overload when I go to the market today? Am I going to have social anxiety when I go camping with my family? Well, if I learn to love what I'm actually paying attention to and love myself for what I bring to the table, autism is pretty damn awesome. And I want to leave you in this section with this thought from Neil Donawash. Fear is a demonstration of love. If you do not love yourself, you would not fear for yourself. You would not be afraid of anything because you would not care about what happened to you. You would not even care if you survived. The survival instinct is nature's way of expressing love. Fear surrounds autism a lot today, and I'm here to say that fear is actually a source of love. Doesn't make you a bad parent, doesn't make you a bad person on the spectrum. You care about what happens to you, and you've cared all along, and that's something in autism people mistake. That they think that we can't care what happens to us, that we don't. We do. We have to find our way, and in this workshop I'm going to help you find your way. I think this is where the relationship with autism really begins, because that's the first thing people notice, our ability to speak with our actual voice or not to. Sometimes we speak at 4 or 6, like Einstein didn't speak until he was 6 years old. Sometimes we never speak at all with our actual voice, but we learn through talkies and other devices to talk with our hands. And this can be very devastating for a lot of parents. But how is it the ability not to use our own voice love? Well, it makes you appreciate when you are 6 or 7, you say your first word. It makes you appreciate all of the simple things, that communicating that they're hungry, that they love you. Any little thing becomes a treasure instead of a million words that other children would say. You get to treasure every form of communication your child is. You get to treasure communicating, and I think that is what breaks the myth of autism, that we don't want to communicate. Even in the simplest forms, we are looking to communicate, and communication is love between two people. It's how we tell each other our emotions. It's how we get our needs and wants met. And the fact that you work so hard with your child, or if you are autistic yourself, you work so hard just to express yourself, you're going to really learn to appreciate those moments, and when you actually communicate in the right way, you feel proud of yourself. Most people talk out their butts and not really value what they're saying, but people like us I couldn't say remember or hospital for the longest time. I could only say one syllable words, but my dad sat and worked with me, and look how articulate I am now. And I believe autism is its own language, and we can bring you into our world once you learn how we talk, how we express ourselves, how we advocate. It's like learning a new language, like learning Spanish or German or whatever. Autism is its own language, and that's beautiful. That's the love, because language is where all communication starts. After speaking, I think this is the biggest thing that parents and people especially like worry about the most. All those cues you missed. If I had a penny for every social cue I missed, I wouldn't have to work a day in my life. But how is that love? Like, that creates a lot of anxiety for people like me, because we spend our time analyzing every move we make, and we think you are too. No one cares about the score that I'm keeping in my head but me. That me missing these cues that back in the 3rd grade all the way till now, like, don't matter. What matters is I try to be authentic. I greet people with a friendly greeting even if they don't greet me back. It has nothing to do with me. They're not in the mood to talk on the train or at work or whatever, and that's okay. Some people will like me, some people won't. But the fact that I put myself out there is huge for someone like me, because just the hello and remembering all the things I might want to know about that person is stressful. I don't know how they're going to react. But then that's when I have to learn not to care. But in my effort to learn to communicate with other people, it's learning me to really dive deep. Like, for example, with my wife, when I first told her I love her, it was puppy love. And she's like, you don't even know me. You don't even ask me any real questions. I'm like, what do you mean? This blew my mind. Puppy love, but I thought I loved her with all my heart. I didn't ask her about her growing up in New York, why she is the way she is, but when I started asking those questions, I really got to know my wife, and I fell in love with her hard and fast, and actually in love, where I proposed to her very quickly. And that's the secret, learning your own social cues, telling your partner, your friend, your parent, your coworker how you communicate and how your body language works. You don't have to always abide by their rules, because there are no rules. They're more like guidelines, just a foundation. But you have the chance to make your life whatever you want it to be, because you make up your own values through your experiences. You make up your own beliefs and decisions and how you want to live your life, how you want to make a life, not a living. That you get to make all the choices here. You have the power, you always have. Einstein, Tesla, myself, Temple, Grandin, all these people, Tim Burton, John Lennon, have reshaped the world, and all of you can reshape the world just by loving what you do notice in a conversation, and loving the person for what you do see them and how they see you, and learning that connection just takes time like anything else. Alright folks, we're reaching towards the end of my workshop. We've talked about a lot of topics that I'll talk about more in depth in later sections. Because you probably have a lot of questions after all this. But I want to highlight another huge example of how being autistic is love, and how it really helps you see the world in a wonderful way. And this, again, is one of the harder things, our relationship with our 5 senses. If you are autistic and you have a sensitivity to light, you always look cool in sunglasses because you always have to wear them. And who doesn't look cool in sunglasses? And also, if you have sensitive light, you notice color more, like I said earlier. You notice the world around you, because if you really work with your light sensitivity, you can really see the different dimensions of this world that other people can't see. And you see details that other people can't see, and that's what makes us such great visual artists. If you have a sensitivity to your smell, if you're like, you can smell bleach a mile away or something. If you like your food a certain way, Like, your chicken nuggets have to be cooked at 475 exactly, or if you're actually cooking an actual meal with mushrooms, vegetables, it's just a good healthy meal, you get to be in control of how that tastes. You can make sure that when you're tasting food, it's the way you like it. And that's a huge thing in autism, the feeling of control. That's how we feel love for ourselves, that we're in control of how our food tastes. And that's really comes as an adult. I've really learned to love cooking breakfast for my wife and leaving it for her as I walk out the door for work. I love the smell of the kitchen now when my wife or I are making a meal that I really enjoy. I get my hands involved with the food, and that's how, through my sensitivities, I learned to really appreciate the food, because I know how much time I can spend with that food before I need a break. I can always come back and know that it's going to taste delicious once I cook it, or my wife cooks it. Another huge thing, especially for me, is taste. For the longest time, all I ate was canned soup, chicken nuggets, and ice cream and candy. Until I met my wife, and we joined the CSA out at Camp Hill, which is a great organization, by the way. For the first time, I tasted lettuce that didn't taste like wet paper. I ate spinach. I ate so many green things. If you check out my YouTube, there's some early videos of me trying green things for the first time. My first salad, that was like 2 years ago. And now I eat salads all the time-ish. Taste really just, it creates a relationship with your food. That's yet another relationship autistic people can't have, a relationship with their food. What makes them feel grounded and allows them to feel ready to start the day. It helps us bring us out of our heads if we eat the right foods. It comforts us when we're feeling anxious and brings us back down to a heart-centered place. Like for me, eating mushrooms helps me get to a heart-centered place every time. So when I'm anxious, I try to eat any mushrooms that we have in the house. And that's healthy for me rather than ice cream, which just masks my anxiety rather than actually help me. And that's love. Self-care is the ultimate love. Taking care of myself when I'm feeling anxious by eating the right foods rather than picking out. Well, the last big one is hearing. It is a big one for lots of people, from the fire alarm to baby crying to people talking even at a normal level. People on the spectrum can often be overwhelmed by certain sounds. For me, at the supermarket, when everyone's talking, and I can't hear my wife talking, and she's standing with her hands on her hips, like, "Sam, did you hear me?" And I'm so caught up in all this noise. But if I eat a good meal before I go to the market, I can listen to the way she's talking to me, and I can help her decide what we're going to make the following week. And the market becomes a much more pleasant experience. And I've met so many musicians on the spectrum that just can hear little intricacies, myself included. A lot of people don't hear what makes a good production. I find the value in the way the birds sound, like this evening, if you can hear them. It helps me appreciate all the small sounds in the world, because otherwise, if I had normal hearing, I wouldn't notice all these things on a daily basis. And it allows me to enjoy the sound of my wife's voice, my son's voice. Because I really pick up on the details of how they sound. And it teaches me how to read them. Like, I know when my wife's upset or happy or joyful, and know what she's feeling on the tone of her voice. And my son too, where he's whining for milk or he's happy to see me. I read through tone, not facial expression. And that's how I learned to communicate and form relationships with other people like my wife, whether who's neurotypical or autistic. I learned through sound how they talk. I learned so much from their gestures. I learned so much about them because I'm so focused on the details. And so it makes me so effective with my clients, because I'm autistic and I see what you see. I've been where you've been. So let's end this workshop with a little exercise. And there comes from a little poem. To love yourself, start here. Take your own hand and put it to your lips. Then lay the soft of your cheek to the round of your shoulder. The faint musk of enduring dreams and labors of your life perfume you. It starts, now begins, and now the ache of your heart has surfaced. So take the moment to actually feel your heartbeat and any given moment where you're struggling or you're doing well, and listen to what your heart's telling you, and you can realize how much love autism has given you, how much of the beauty of this world that you see because of your autism. That's love. God wants you to experience love and see the world around you. So go out your door and try to see the world as you truly see it, and you can find beauty in that. Well, folks, thank you for coming to my workshop today. I hope you enjoy the rest of Inclusion Fest. If you want to hear more about these topics, you can see me at Samuel Huber on YouTube, Samuel Huber on Facebook, Huber Family Ventures on Instagram, www.samuelhuber.net. Please follow, please subscribe, and please enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, or midday. Bye.